Hey guys, happy to have you here. My name is Willie. This is the Right from Wrong podcast. Right from Wrong podcast. We're gonna make some mistakes. First time we're gonna be doing this, man. I don't talk a lot, but it's gonna be not just me today. I'm proud to bring on a happy new friend of mine. Somebody I've got to know as of recently, but I plan to get to know a lot better. I want to introduce Matt Brown.
What's up? What's up, Willie? How's it going, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing, brother? Good to talk to you again, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate you having me. Appreciate you coming on, actually. Like
yeah,
I mentioned, man, this is the Right from Wrong podcast. What I want to do is kind of just bring people on and tell their story, tell their journey, right? We all have a story, we all have a past. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. We're all heading in the right direction, right? So, with that being said, my friend, tell me a little about yourself. How'd you kind of get into this whole Sub Two project forward? I mean, that's how we met, right?
yeah. Hey, straight up, man. That's a cool name of a podcast, dude. That I like that, man. It kind of like sums up everything. So
Appreciate that.
cool. Well, how I got into Project Forward. Well, a little bit about myself. So Matt Brown. I got the little tag right there, Matt BZ0024. I wanted to be a little different, as far as like the name. There's so many Matt Browns in the world, so I was like, I know Pace says your name is your brand, but like somebody might not be able to find the right Matt Brown. So I was like, I'm gonna do something like this. But sorry, got a little off topic.
No, you're
Yeah,
good, man. Explain. I like that. You got to explain who you are and how you got here. That's what I'm talking about, man. How your mind functions, how you got to this point, man. So you're right on topic, bro. I appreciate you.
yeah, awesome.
There's a lot of Matt Brown in the world, man.
That's right. Yeah, there's actually another one in sub two as well. He popped up like 6 months ago, and I made a joke to him. I said, "Hey, you better be a go giver. I got a reputation to keep, man. Like I don't want to be confused." So, but so yeah, I mean, Project Forward. So I've done a couple of these challenges in the sub two community. I've been in sub two since March of 2022, so a little over a year. I did a couple of the elephant challenges. Man, those are, I mean, what Pace does is mind blowing and phenomenal, and he is the ultimate go giver. Those challenges do get a little taxing on you. I mean, he slows down a lot for the non sub two students because he's building something big for them. But for us that's been through the program, that knows the vernacular, knows the skills and what to do. And I mean, I'm not an expert, but I know the basics. It's like, oh man, it's just such a drain on time. And man, time is the enemy right now. I mean, it's crazy. But this one, Project Forward, I don't know. It seemed pretty cool. It seemed different. It's only right now the sub two community and Gator. So and he said, hey, I'm gonna do it to where each week I'm gonna let you filter yourself out. So that makes it a little bit more efficient for me, or at least that's what I think it's gonna be. And he's talking about course building and podcast and passive income on the digital platforms. So like that seems pretty cool. It's not just real estate investing. It's just like some of these other things that it's gonna bring real estate investing. It's gonna bring business opportunities. It's just like one more outlet to do that. So I still don't know what it's all about, but I'm like, hey man, might as well try it. So and here I am chatting with you. So it turned out pretty good so far.
Right on, right on. With that being said, man, we both are learning that part of Project Forward together. So I guess we'll take a couple steps back. You obviously have a lot on your plate, man. So let's take it back a little further. You got family, you got kids. Tell me a little bit more about your personal life. What makes Matt tick?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. So, I mean, believe it or not, I just turned 40 a couple of months ago. I just got this
Looking
mustache
good. Looking
like a couple of weeks ago, just to be funny. Like, this is not what I usually look like. It's kind of like a Ted Lasso homage. We just finished watching that series a few weeks ago.
good.
So
Oh,
I
I
was like,
love it.
yeah, I was like, this will be funny. I just bought a new pair of Jordans the other day. Like, I noticed he wears them in the show. I was like, oh, that's tight.
And
Um,
they're always clean. They're always clean.
yes. Exactly. Um, so yeah, I mean, like I'm 40. Been with my wife for 12 years now. She's been a stay-at-home mom for like the last 9 years. when we had our first child. So we've got two girls. They're 7 and 9. And she does a phenomenal job helping out with them and just really taking control, making sure that they get what they need, and that they're given, lots of opportunities. I mean, she's the soccer coach. She takes our oldest one to therapy twice a week. It's like an hour drive in one direction, hour drive back. I mean, she is like, boom, she's the foundation. And so, I've been in my W-2 job, so it's corporate finance. Been in it for, man, like 17 years. I came out of college. My grandfather owned a construction company. So growing up each summer, like when I was 14, I was like, look, I want a car. Like I want something like to get around, to get out the house. I was riding my bike everywhere. I was on in the newspaper. I would find speakers for sale, and then I would get my mom to take me to go buy those speakers, and then I would sell them to somebody like in high school, like for $25 markup. So I was always doing, yeah, I was always doing stuff like that, and I was like, man, I need a car. And so that summer, I was 14, turning 15. I went and worked for my grandfather, doing construction, digging ditches, which was like crazy. I mean, I was like, oh my God, like this life sucks. Yeah, exactly. So made, a couple $100, and then went and bought a Honda CRX, an '88 Honda CRX with half that money. My grandfather matched the other. It was like, I think it was like $2,000. So I put 1,000, he matched 1,000. So I was very blessed with that. And then I started going and buying those speakers on the newspaper. It was like the classifieds. This was before Craigslist. So I get them from the classifieds, and then eBay launched like in '96, I believe '97, somewhere in that time frame. And I was like, oh shoot! So I started selling speakers on eBay, and then like other car parts and stuff like that. So I always had this world of, each summer I would dig ditches, but I also was trying to like make money on the side by selling. My grandfather used to get mad at me. He would call it willing and dealing. He was always against it. And but he was a business owner. Like I'm like, you're doing the same thing. You're just doing it, structured with an attorney and an LLC and contracts. Like you're willing and dealing on a bigger scale.
I'm trying to get there, Grandpa.
Yeah, exactly. So like my path took me to college. Went to a small school, got a degree. Just really hustled my year, all these chips, got signed on with the company I'm with now, and just like grinded and grinded. Moved around through the company a good bit, but I always tried to do real estate on the side. So when I think it was 2009, I bought a condo down in Clemson University, and actually it was a townhouse. I saw some potential there. I was like, okay, I can make this thing look nice. I've got the construction skills. I'll do the work myself or whatever. So for like a year, I lived in that place with the master bathroom torn out because I was tiling it and all this stuff. But it took me like a year to finish this thing. And in the meantime, my wife, we got engaged. She was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. And by the time we got married and moved in, that bathroom still wasn't finished. And she was like, look, you gotta step this up. You gotta get this thing done. So anyways, I got it done and everything. And about a year and a half later, we were pregnant with our first child. And I was like, okay, I've been planning for this. Like we're now going to buy a house. We're going to buy an actual house. So I ended up selling the townhouse for a pretty good profit because I bought it, pretty cheap, put some value into it, did all the work myself, even though it almost killed me. Made some money from it, rolled it into the next house. So we built a house out kind of close to a farm. Got it really cheap, like $75 a square foot. I mean, it was like a palace. I mean, it was crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, I was living the dream. I loved it. It was so cheap. But
I love it.
yeah, yeah, and but my wife wasn't too happy with that area of town. So we ended up having to, sold that house, got a lot of equity out of it, and then moved to where we are now in Greenville, South Carolina. But I guess it's kind of like a long way to say, like, after that first flip that I did, maybe that's kind of like a hybrid of house hacking and flipping. Um,
I think they call it a live in flip. Live in
okay,
flip.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, but I kept reaching back out to that same realtor that sold that townhouse for me because he was an investor as well. He had
Hmm.
rental properties. He also owned a property management company that his wife ran, or I guess maybe she owned. I don't know. But I was like, Kevin, like, I want to do what you're doing. Like, now I got a little bit of money because I sold this one and, put a down payment on that one, but there's still a little bit left over. I want to do what you're doing. So he's like, yeah, I'll send you, things as soon as they hit the MLS. And I was like, okay. Every time he would send me something and I would underwrite it. And I'm like, I've got to offer like 40% less than the asking price to make this cash flow. Like I don't get it. And I was putting in lowball offers for like 3 years, just using him, thinking, hey, it's got to be down the street from me in my backyard, and I got to use a realtor. I got to buy on the MLS, and this just isn't going to work out. And then we started having our second child, and work started cranking up, and I was like, okay, well, this real estate thing, I've got no traction. The corporate world's dangling the carrot in front of me. Like I gotta, work harder after that carrot. I need a bigger carrot. I need to get closer to the carrot. Um, so I just kept doing that for a while, and then yeah, during the pandemic, I started looking into digital marketing. I did a little bit of affiliate marketing for Amazon. Sold a couple of treadmills because everybody was buying that stuff, ran some Facebook ads, and I was like, oh, somebody took the bait. But I mean, nothing, yeah. I mean, like nothing life changing happened.
Okay.
So that's kind of like my story, then led me up to subto, and whew, things have taken off. So
I love it. Love it. Well, I got a couple questions, and we'll touch on. The first thing is, I'm interested. You said you started with speakers at a very young age. One
yeah.
thing I've learned is that most people that develop a side hustle, it starts from a hobby that they already had. So, were you kind of into the music scene itself? Was it something like I had a lot of friends that did speakers, they did competition speakers? Was that something? Because if you're looking for these already, that tells me that you were already looking for them, right? So,
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious how you pick speakers to initiate your entrepreneurship.
yeah, that's a great insight. You really caught on well. That's a skill I need to like really home in on and put that in my back pocket. Yeah, you're you're spot on. So like I always grew up with older people in my neighborhood.
Okay.
So they were, I mean, like 3 to 4 years older. And when you're 14, I mean, that's a big gap. I mean, that's like hanging
Oh
out with
yeah, yeah.
18-year-olds or whatever. And they had cars and everything, Hondas, right? Just little,
Yeah.
cheaper cars. And the thing was like, just put speakers in them, make them loud, make them rattle, and and go from there. So it was like, okay, like this is cool. This is something new. I'm 14. I'm starting to get, into that phase of life where you start getting interested with grown up stuff. You're wanting to be cool, right? You're getting a little bit of an ego. So yeah, Rockford Fosgate, JL Audio, just like really admiring that type of stuff, like what a speaker can actually do, like hearing the bass, and then going to a couple of
I remember adjusting and getting things going. No, that's awesome that actually led you. I mean, your passion led you to the next kind of a undeveloped or an unfound kind of trait that you had. You didn't know you really had. I mean, because that's how it gets brought out. And you
yeah.
start putting them together and connecting those pieces, and like, hey, I can do this and get more from this actually, right? So that's really cool, man. I really like that. That also tells me that you had no kind of hindrance on taking risks. You mentioned as well with the Amazon stuff and the affiliate marketing and just kind of putting yourself out there. Have you always been somebody that's been willing to take those kind of risks? I mean, as an entrepreneur, you kind of have to, but you said you held down a job for quite some time too. So, I mean, it was like there's kind of a torn between the two sides of you.
Yeah, I mean it's a calculated risk, right? So I'm in finance. I'm a numbers guy, right? So and I think what I'm learning through Sub Two here recently in the last year is to be more risk adverse, but really, really vet out that dating stage, right? Make sure like who you're doing a deal with actually is an expert or is trustworthy, credible, things of that nature. And for the last, like I said, 10 years prior, making all these offers on market properties, I mitigated my risk because I was like lowballing. I was offering 40% low, which was, taking a little bit of a risk, but it was calculated and it wasn't risky enough,
Sure.
in my opinion. I mean, so yeah, I would always take risks, but they were in small pieces, not as big as what. Looking back, I probably should have taken some larger risks.
Okay, okay. With that being said, somebody analytical like yourself, what kind of person do you look forward to kind of collaborating with, learning from, or like maybe growing with? Or I mean, is you said you were making those negotiations and stuff, and then you were pitching out that stuff. I mean, I've myself had crazy low ball offers that have been accepted. Most of them get denied. You know what I mean? But is that something you're comfortable with? Is that something you like to be able to talk to people in that aspect, or do you prefer to be behind the scenes and analytical, or kind of just running the numbers?
It ebbs and flows. It goes back and forth. So I mean, I'm primarily an introvert. Like, I like to have my head down. Like some mornings, like I just want to put my face down and not be bothered. Crunch the numbers, just grind, get the job done. And then other days I get kind of burnt out with that, and I just want to be the visionary. I want to go like, have a coffee and talk to someone and talk strategy and just talk high level stuff and like think about where we can go and look for my integrator, like to say, hey, if we do this, we build a mobile home park, I'm gonna need an operator. Do you have a connection? I need some land. I need this. I need that. Like, and I like to have those conversations, but I don't like for those conversations just to be, just a dream. I would rather them like connect and actually start coming to fruition. So it's kind of a all over the place answer, but that's just kind of how I am in general. So
Um, you say all over the place. I say balanced, honestly, man, because a lot of people they like to focus on one or the other. You know what I mean? The fact that you can do both and you're familiar with you like one and the other, but you can kind of step away from them. I mean, that's smart to me. That goes back to the who, not how kind of aspect, right? So I give you props, but I appreciate the balance. I respect you for the balance stuff, man.
yeah.
I'm curious. It might be a little off subject from that. What exactly is corporate finance? What? I mean, I hear that a lot. What do you do in corporate finance? What is that?
Yeah, sure. It's a great question. So the company I work for, it's a global company. It's they do sales to utility companies, and so I used to be over manufacturing. So I was the finance guy for the manufacturing plants, a couple of them around the United States and Mexico. And basically, I would keep up with, here's how much I would set the budget. I would say this is how many units you're going to produce. Here's the units cost based on my calculations of working with, the purchasing team, the manufacturing teams, coming up
Okay.
with that product cost, and then measuring the actual product cost against what we projected, and making sure that we get back to budget, things of that nature.
Okay.
So yeah. So that's it. And I mean, it kind of comes down to just keeping up with how much is spent and budgeting how much they can spend and forecasting every month for the rest of the period that we're looking at, basically.
Okay. Money manager on a corporate level. Thank you for breaking that down. Yeah, I mean, you hear that, and the way you even started the initial answer was, what you typically hear, but that gives a lot more insight for that. Thank you. Well, being as analytical as you are, stuff like that, well, I'm sure you've thought about your future. What do you see Sub Two bringing you in the future? I mean, the next 3 months, 6 months, outside of just Project Forward itself.
Yeah, that's a great question. Like being in sub two for the last year, getting the education and being able to understand, hey, there's more options than just MLS properties with a realtor, right? I didn't even know you get off market properties. I mean, boom. Um, and being able to underwrite and say, okay, oh, you need reserves, you need a war chest, all this other stuff. I've done some deals. Most of my deals have been through collaboration. just having conversations like this, networking like crazy, putting myself in multiple places, so eventually I'll end up at the right place at the right time. And having those conversations with other sub 2 students to say, this is what I have, this is what I'm looking for, what do you have, what are you looking for, and been able to connect and make some deals. Most of those deals have been more of a long-term equity play, on getting terms on properties, paying above ARV, but we're making a little cash flow right now, but those properties are appreciating like crazy. And then I've done a few wraps, and I really like that strategy. That's been really cool. And on the very first wrap I did, we had another sub 2 student come in and be the lender. And I was doing all this work of just vetting out buyers, running Facebook ads to find buyers, talking to over 200, 300 people that were trying to get this house, and narrowing it down to like 3 people to send to an RMLO, and just all this crazy work. And then at the end of the day, the person who brought the money to the deal, they made just as much money on the down payment, when we got that from the end buyer, and they're making the same amount as me perpetually until it gets refied out. And I was like, wow. I was like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy to where he does nothing but lends a little bit of capital, and he gets money. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
So that probably tells me how you got into the Gator world. Huh? You said you were a Gator lender as well, right?
Yeah, and I haven't focused much on it. Just I've been really scattered all over the place, doing, buying properties with this person, that person, trying a little bit of wholesaling. But yeah, I mean, I've done a couple of Gator lending. I didn't really realize it was Gator lending at the time, even though I was in the Gator lending program. but but in hindsight, yeah, in hindsight, I was like, holy crap, I did just lend some money, got all of it back, plus a huge chunk of equity and a huge chunk of the down payment. I was like, it's actually a Gator lending. I own 50% of this property now. I was like, okay, that's cool. So
Nice. That's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. Well, I know you got to get going here so pretty quick too, man. But I do want to, let the people hear what you got going on, what you're looking for, where they can find you, and what kind of words you got for the people out here.
yeah. So I'll start with the first. So I'm a buyer. I will only buy creative. ARV around 300,000. 10% entry fee with light rehab. Interest rate below 5%. I mean that's the buy box, only in major cities, red states. Landlord friendly states. Sorry. And
No, I know it.
yeah,
I think viewers
exactly.
will too.
Yes. And especially in upstate South Carolina. This is, my backyard. I would love to have more properties here. So that's what I'm looking for, as far as what I can bring to the table. So, strong analytical skills. I do a lot of underwriting. I've done a little bit of underwriting for multifamily and mobile home parks. That's not my bread and butter. I can get the job done. It's not where I'm most efficient. And I do just a little bit of lending. I mean, not, again, back to earlier, I was saying, hey, risk averse, like, I'll vet out, and make sure that you're like an expert, right? And make sure you've done deals, want to see some HUDs and everything. Make sure we've got, a good plan, a good strategy to get those funds back. I mean, I did a great deal with Christian Hernandez. Big shout out to him. I was actually just texting with him a few minutes ago. As soon as, like he said, he needed someone to be a lender for him, I was like, dude, it's me. Let's go. And that's just kind of like, yeah, exactly. And that's just kind of the relationships I like to have. So it helped him out, helped me out. So that's kind of like what I can bring to the table. And I mean, and then for me to give something to this podcast, I definitely want everybody to subscribe to Willie. I mean, just talking to you, like, I know you get your hands in all kind of stuff, and you're a wealth of knowledge. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've enjoyed every conversation, every text with you as well. Yeah, exactly. And that's what it's all about, supporting each other. And in general, I would say to everybody from me, have these conversations. Put yourself out there, talk to as many people as possible, tell them what you want, tell them what you need, tell them what you can give. And if that's not the right person that's going to fit that, they may take that information and connect you with someone else. And then, you listen to them, you take their information, connect them with somebody else. And let's just have all these connections, help each other out. We'll flourish together. I think that's what, everything is all about. And, people can find me on Instagram right here, MBZ or Matt BZ0024. Send me a DM or whatever the case may be. So.
Awesome, Matt. Well, I appreciate you. Y'all make sure to reach out to Matt. Follow him. He's a great guy, somebody you need to be doing deals with, learning from, and helping out because he's going to bring the same kind of value. My name is Willie. This is the Right from Wrong podcast. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.